Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 393, Pacific Jam. The episode begins with the second round of the Pacific Town contest about to get underway, but first, we see Ash outside the contest hall, training his Snorunt to use Ice Beam some more. Snorunt had just launched an uncontrollable Ice Beam, so Ash had just run away down a path that bordered a forest. Snorunt got confused as to why Ash was running and waddled after him, so Ash quit running and turned around, realizing that Snorunt had stopped firing Ice Beam, and explained how he was only running away because he didn't want Snorunt to hit him with the Ice Beam, and tried to motivate Snorunt, saying the faster that they could perfect Snorunt's Ice Beam, the faster he could go see May perform in person, as opposed to having to watch on the screen outside the contest hall. Snorunt nods and turns his back to him, preparing to launch yet another Ice Beam away from Ash so that he didn't get hit. Icy bubbles form, and the attack was about to be unleashed, but just like many previous times, the Ice Beam couldn't even get unleashed this time. It was weird, because sometimes it got unleashed but it was uncontrollable, and sometimes it didn't unleash at all. Ash got a bit set off by how up in the air Snorunt's Ice Beam performance was, and told it to try again. On the second try, Snorunt managed to launch the attack, after some encouragement from Pikachu. But unfortunately, the attack wasn't perfect because even though it was launched like usual, it was out of control, and it got launched straight at the trees, going straight through peach and apple trees, freezing a lot of the peaches and apples, and causing one to fall to Pikachu's feet as an ice cube. Pikachu happily picks it up because he was hungry as hell, but it was forced to juggle it because of how cold it was, and it tosses the fruit away hurriedly, and Snorunt laughs at it, finding the whole situation funny. Pikachu and Ash try to remind Snorunt of how they really wanted to go watch May's performance in person, so it'd be nice if they could just cooperate and master the attack, but Snorunt didn't listen, and instead just fired Ice Beam in multiple different directions, wildly, just like last episode, freezing the ground in the process. Meanwhile, as for James, he happened to be running down the same road that Ash and Snorunt and Pikachu were practicing on, with a big green sack in his arms. He seemed a little nervous, telling himself that he had to get back to the contest hall with whatever was in the bag before Jessie started her second round match. Just then, though, when James gets close enough to Ash, Snorunt, and Pikachu, he hears all the commotion that was going on, with Snorunt firing the Ice Beam in random directions, and looks around him in multiple directions, trying to find Ash, Snorunt, and Pikachu, but while he was doing this, he failed to notice that one of the Ice Beams from Snorunt happened to hit the part of the road he was on and froze it, so he started to stumble and slip on the ice, but thankfully he regained his balance and practically skated across the ice, even without skates. As James laughs, admitting that was a close call, but he was at least glad to have the opportunity to ice skate, because apparently he used to ice skate as a kid. And also, while ice skating, he could make it to the contest faster before Jessie had to do her match, since the ice obviously sped him up. However, even though James went faster, he didn't end up at the contest hall because he noticed the road led to a cement wall ahead, basically a dead end, and since he was going so fast, he was having trouble stopping himself on the ice to prevent himself from smashing into it, and sure enough, he started to scream as he did smash into the wall, creating a huge hole in it that was shaped like him, as he fell to the ground. Back at the contest hall, Vivian declared that the contest battle rounds were about to begin, and she explained the usual rules of the round, which I'm sure we all knew if you watched any of these other episodes before, but basically, there's a 5-minute time limit, and whatever coordinator has the most points at the end wins, basically. And she said that it was time for the first battle to begin. Brock and Max were watching in the audience, wondering what matchup would be first, May versus Joshua, or Jessie versus Erica. Well, as the audience cheered, the screen in the contest hall showed that the first battle would be Jester versus Erica. 5 minutes was placed on the clock as Jessie and Meowth and Erica and her Jinx entered the battlefield. Jessie taunted Erica, claiming that she would obviously win, so Erica should just quit, but Erica refused, stating that she would actually win, and her boyfriend Joshua would become champions, and then they would split the ribbon into 2 pieces for each other. And she proceeded to have a little daydream about this, where Raul Contesta presented her with half of the purple Pacific ribbon, and Joshua with half of the purple Pacific ribbon, and the match would officially be called a draw, after they both made it to the finals. And Erica giggled to herself, as her vision came to an end, as Jessie wondered if Erica had lost her goddamn mind. Especially when she blushed. Jessie then warned Meowth that Erica actually seemed pretty goddamn scary, so the battle may be tough, and asked Meowth if he thought he could beat the crazy girl, and Meowth simply stated that he was confident because he and James had come up with a plan, which was related to the bag that James was carrying earlier, and it seems as though James had actually made it to the contest hall after all, and he was currently watching the battlefield from behind a wall, wondering how Meowth would fare in this battle due to their plan. And James observed Meowth's stomach to make sure everything was in place. He had basically put a pouch of things on Meowth's stomach, although he made sure the pouch blended in with Meowth's actual body, so it was barely visible. What was in this pouch, you ask? Well, we'll find out soon. Anyways, Meowth was a bit disappointed to be battling Jinx, because he wanted to battle the Persian and teach it a lesson, but he then realized that if he beat Jinx, then he could at least prove himself as better than the Persian for sure, since the Persian obviously didn't even make it past the first round to begin with, since it wasn't in there. So he was like, oh, I might as well just go ahead and try and win this whole thing anyways. However, as Meowth was checking out his opponents, Erica and Jinx, to try and come up with a strategy, he started to get nervous around Jinx, since Jinx was a lot bigger than him, and Meowth got even more nervous, stumbling backwards, when Jinx gave him a seductive wink to try and intimidate him. Without further ado, Meowth had to pull everything together, as Vivian officially declared the start of the match, and the clock started to tick down for 5 minutes. Erica started off by having Jinx use a lovely kiss, though Meowth dodges by jumping over the sweet kiss, and then he tries to use Fury Swipes on Jinx. However, as Meowth was jumping towards Jinx to Fury Swipe it though, Jinx distracts Meowth by winking at him again, and tries to kiss Meowth, insinuating that it had a crush on him, and this terrifies Meowth, as Meowth runs away in fear, forgetting all about how he was going to use Fury Swipes. Jinx was surprised by Meowth running away, as she assumed that he would like her as well, since everyone seemed to like Jinx. And she waddles after Meowth with hearts in her eyes, much like Brock. Or how Brock usually was anyways. Meowth was practically freaking out, like Jinx just wouldn't stop chasing him like a rabid fangirl. Vivian was confused by Meowth running away, questioning if this was part of Meowth's performance, and the audience knew that it wasn't, as the audience booed, disappointed with what Meowth was doing. The judges were confused as well, so as a result, Jessie lost some of her points. So Jessie demanded that Meowth quit running and attack Jinx, but Meowth replied that was easier said than done, although he said it very quietly, only to himself, so that his identity as a talking Pokemon would be blown without Jessie's permission. Jessie then shouts to Meowth again, telling him to transform. Meowth didn't understand what Jessie meant by this, but he suddenly remembered his plan with James involving the pouch that he now had on him, and he had a flashback, remembering James being the one to put the pouch on Meowth, since even though James and Meowth were working on the plan together, Meowth was just the guinea pig for the plan, really. James was the one who came up with it, and he remembered James telling him that if the contest went bad, he could reach into the pouch and appeal to the crowd with a surprise attack. So, as James prepared to finish Meowth off with a Hyper Beam, now getting annoyed at the fact that Meowth was ignoring it, Meowth did what he remembered to do, pulling something out of his pouch. First, being a smoke bomb, so Meowth engulfed himself in a flash of smoke, and when the smoke dissipated, he reappeared disguised as a Sunflora. Vivian was in pure shock, not able to explain to the audience how this happened, and Max, from the audience, knew that Meowth probably used Transform, because that would be the only thing that made sense. He transformed himself into a Sunflora, but Max didn't know that Meowth could learn Transform. Brock confirmed that Meowth could learn Transform, so he and Max were just in awe, along with everyone else in the audience, at how the fuck this was possible. Outside, while Ash was still training Snow Run with Pikachu, Ash was confused as well when he heard Vivian explain what just happened, and he saw a Sunflora on the screen. As for May and Joshua in the waiting room, along with all the other coordinators, they didn't know what the fuck was going on either. Vivian then asked for the judges' opinions. Nurse Joy responded that she wasn't sure how it happened, but she didn't really see a problem with it, because it was interesting. Contesta simply remarked that he didn't have a problem with it either, and he's never seen anything like it, and Mr. Sukizo was just standing there in awe. He didn't even offer a comment. Jessie then ordered Meowth disguised as a Sunflora to use a razor leaf. Since Meowth couldn't actually use Razor Leaf, he resorted to pulling some leaves that he had prepared in his pouch, and he threw them at Jinx, letting out a Sunflora cry in the process to further convince people that he actually was a Sunflora. But Jinx simply counters by freezing the leaves into icy shards, using a blizzard, which dropped Jessie's points pretty severely. So Jessie got worried, knowing she was in a tough position, so she ordered Meowth to transform once again into something else. This time, Meowth of course threw out a smoke bomb, and when he emerged from the smoke, he was disguised as a Curlia, the same Curlia disguise as the Gardevoir episode, 6 episodes ago at this point? Upon transforming, Vivian, of course, announced what had just happened. Sunflora had transformed into a Curlia, or rather Meowth transformed into a Curlia, when really neither of these happened, and Meowth instantly got stressed out, since standing on top of his feet, like the way Curlia did, where you were basically like, you had to have your feet like fully flat, and then like kind of dance like a ballerina and all that, yeah, that was really aching him, and raising his arms up in a certain position, like a ballerina, such as Curlia, was aching him as well. And Meowth started to panic some more, when he realized that Jessie could order a psychic attack, and he would have no clue how to mimic that. Just then, though, Jinx released another Lovely Kiss, leading Meowth to run forward, attempting to jump over the Lovely Kiss to dodge it, and also pull out several other different Curlia disguises so that he could mimic a fake double team by creating fake extra versions of himself. But as he was running, since he could barely walk like a Curlia, he ended up tripping and landing on his stomach. So he did dodge the Lovely Kiss since it flew over him, but regardless, he still fell, so this wasn't very good or graceful for him, and it wouldn't get him points in the contest by any means. Sure enough, while Meowth was just glad to have accidentally dodged the attack, the audience and the judges were not pleased whatsoever. Not only were the judges, along with Brock and Max, not impressed though, they started to get a little suspicious about the Curlia actually being an accurate transformation, since Brock and Max made fun of the fact that this Curlia wasn't very graceful, despite it's supposed to be an accurate transformation, and Contesta stated that although it seemed like Meowth could transform, it couldn't attack with the Pokemon it transformed into his attacks. Anyways, Jessie saw that Meowth was no good as a Curlia, so she quickly ordered Meowth to transform a third time, so Meowth threw another smoke bomb, and once the smoke cleared, it was revealed that Meowth had transformed into a Wailord, wearing a massive Wailord disguise. In reality, the Wailord was just like a blow-up plushie thing, whereas Meowth was a little speck on Wailord's mouth, trying his best to make a Wailord call. He was basically just inside the plushie, and he was sticking his mouth out of it without sticking his face out of it, so he didn't reveal himself. I think you get the picture if you look at the picture. How did Meowth manage to pull out a full-size Wailord costume out of his pouch, you may ask? I don't know, maybe James is a fucking genius. At first, upon hearing Meowth's fake Wailord cry, Erica and Jinx were rendered nervous, while Vivian excitedly explained that Meowth had transformed again, and James complimented himself, still hiding behind the wall in a little disguise, and complimenting himself for coming up with such a great plan. Erica, however, quickly turns her nervousness into confidence when she realizes that Wailord wouldn't really be much of a threat without water to swim in, so she tells Jinx to just not be nervous about the Wailord at all and use Psychic. As a result, Jinx lifts the whole Wailord plush into the air, causing Meowth to panic, and as he flails around in panic, his claws accidentally scratch the inside of the plush, which pops the whole Wailord plush, sending the remainders of it spiraling into the air, like how a balloon deflated. The plush basically deflated like a balloon. That's the easiest way to describe it. James immediately rushes up to Jessie, trying to comfort her because he knew that she would get mad, because he was mad himself, practically throwing a tantrum as to how Meowth messed up his plan. Vivian stared up at the deflating Wailord plush, wondering what the fuck happened, although she and the judges quickly figured out that it was all a lie, and Meowth never transformed after all. And because of this, Vivian asked the judges what they wanted to do to punish Jessie, and the judges decided on disqualifying Jessie and Meowth and declaring Erica and Jinx the winners by default. So a big black X appeared over Jessie's picture, and Vivian did as the judges asked, declaring Erica the winner. Jessie refused to accept this outcome, though, and Jessie quickly ordered James to take off his disguise, and she did the same, therefore revealing their identities. Shocking May, Joshua, and Erica, since they all recognized Team Rocket, as well as Ash, Snow, Red, and Pikachu, who were watching the scene from outside on the monitor. Vivian simply told Team Rocket to leave, since they were disqualified from the contest, but Team Rocket just responded by performing their motto, with Wobbuffet joining in, and Meowth unable to join in, because he was still falling down after being launched into the air with the deflating Whalelord costume. But by the time the motto finished, a now blue-headed Meowth, since part of the plush was on his face, landed in front of Jessie and James, practically knocked out. Rock and Max were shocked to see Team Rocket from the stands as well, although Ash then entered the contest hall, taking the opportunity to do so while Team Rocket was busy doing their motto. Erica then asked Team Rocket what the fuck they were doing and what they even wanted, leading Meowth to take the little bit of plush off his face using a cloth. As Jessie and James revealed that if they couldn't win the contest, then they were at least going to steal some of the competitors' Pokemon, and James proceeded to pull out a net launcher and shot a net out at Jinx to capture it, but Erica took action, having Jinx use Psychic to turn the net back at Team Rocket, effectively trapping Team Rocket in their own net. Erica then declared that she would not let Team Rocket interfere with the remainder of the contest, and had Jinx blast them off through the door of the contest hall, which was open all the way outside, sending Team Rocket blasting off, including Trimeco and Wobbuffet, who popped out of his ball. Immediately after Team Rocket's blast off, Ash had actually arrived at the contest hall, as it took him a while to get in, and he immediately sat down with Brock and Max, asking what happened, because he expected to see Team Rocket attacking, not them already blasted off, and Brock and Max just explained what had happened to Team Rocket, and also added that Erica won her match by default, since Jessie was disqualified. And honestly stated that May would have to look out for Erica if she beat Joshua, because she was tough, and Max and Brock were shocked by this, since usually a person who talked big wasn't that strong. But she was definitely a skilled coordinator. Meanwhile, in the literal hallway of the contest hall, May was preparing to go for her match with Joshua now, but she was approached by Erica right as she was coming out of her match with Jessie, and Erica had an angry expression. Somewhat angry, because she wanted to win fairly, to prove herself, not win by handicap, but at the end of the day, she didn't care that much about this, since she was one step closer to making her dream come true of being in the finals with Joshua, and therefore angrily told May that she better not beat Joshua, so that she and Joshua could win together, like she still intended. Though teased that there was no way May would beat Joshua, because her and Joshua had did so much training together, and we see a flashback of them training on the beach with their Jinx and Houndoom. May then asked if Joshua even wanted to win together, since she remembered how Joshua had left Erica to train on his own, and upon hearing this, Erica remembered something from last week, and we see a flashback from last week, where they were sitting by the beach after they trained on it, and Joshua decided to practice on his own, as opposed to with Erica, which shocked Erica. And she remembered being shocked even more when she reminded Joshua of how they were supposed to win together, and Joshua just nervously shrugged her off, almost like he didn't want to win together, but I guess Erica was just in denial, as she tried to ignore this, and ended her flashback, stating that she knew deep down that Joshua still wanted to win as a team, and stated that she would refuse to let May get in the way of their desire to win as a team. May basically accuses Erica of being in denial, saying that she was blowing her relationship with Joshua way out of proportion, and Joshua may not even have felt as strongly for her as she did him, because that's the conclusion she had came to. But Erica just shrugged this off, so May instead brought up how May didn't really give a fuck about what Erica wanted, right? She just came to this contest to win the ribbons fair and square, and could give two fucks about what Erica thought. Without further ado, May went to the stage, as did Joshua, and their battle began as soon as Vivian declared it on. And Joshua, of course, sent out his Houndoom, and May sent out her Skitty, with Houndoom starting off with using a Swift, but Skitty simply dodged and used the tackle. Skitty then tries to go in for a double slap, but Houndoom dodges this, and then slams Skitty with its tail, and then follows up with a powerful Shadow Ball. Vivian was amazed by the battle that was going on as she was announcing it, surprised by the fact that the Shadow Ball hit a normal type Skitty, as were Ash, Max, and Brock. Nah, I'm just kidding. They weren't shocked by that at all. They didn't even realize it. But I mean, there's shots of them just watching in the audience, so, you know, I have to assume they commented on something, and they might as well comment on how fucking bullshit it was that Skitty got hit by an attack that shouldn't even have been affected by. As Erica was watching the battle from the waiting room with some of the other coordinators, she smiled, seeing how May was losing more points than Joshua, and she placed her bets that Joshua was going to win. Although, you couldn't actually place bets, but, you know, she definitely thought that Joshua was going to win. Anyways, Skitty then recovers from the Shadow Ball and fires off a blizzard, but Houndoom simply charges up a flamethrower, which not only destroys the blizzard, but also severely damaged Skitty, burning its face and knocking it back, causing May's points to drop immensely. And Vivian even wondered if Skitty would be able to continue after taking such a hard hit from the flamethrower. Everyone else was worried as well, thinking that Joshua was probably the victor at this point, and Skitty was down, especially Max, who knew that Flamethrower was Houndoom's most powerful attack, and Blizzard was Skitty's most powerful attack, so if the Flamethrower was able to break through, then May had no chance. Ash, however, was the only one who still had hope in May, who reminded her that she still had plenty of time on the clock to come up with a new strategy, and told her to, and May took Ash's words to heart, and thought about them, and used them as a confidence booster, and used this confidence to come up with a new strategy instead of stressing. Right as she came up with the strategy, though, Houndoom launched a Swift at Skitty, or when May told Skitty to use Assist, much to the shock of Ash, Brock, and Max. That's definitely not what they expected May to do, since Assist was so risky. Assist ended up turning into a Razor Leaf, and it was a whole storm of Razor Leaves which deflected the Swift. Ash and the gang were surprised by Assist's power, while Erica commented that it was purely just luck coming from Assist. May didn't actually have any skill, and she was still confident that Joshua could win. However, Skitty then followed up with a regular tackle, knocking Houndoom across the field. Vivian exclaimed the beauty of May's quick combination of both assist and tackle, really liking it, and even Erica, watching the battle, admitted that May was giving it her all, although deep down she still knew that Joshua had a chance, because Joshua still had more points. Skitty then goes to use Double Slap, but the attack was cancelled as Houndoom used Shadow Ball again, and May and Joshua complimented each other on their skill, with May telling Joshua not to hold back, and Joshua agreed, with May promising not to hold back either. These mutual compliments surprised Erica, as they just seemed like friendly compliments, not something like two people in a relationship. So Erica began to realize that maybe she misjudged that Joshua actually liked May or some shit. The battle then continues, as Houndoom uses a flamethrower, and Skitty uses Blizzard, shocking Max, as Max didn't know why May would bother going for Blizzard against a goddamn flamethrower. Erica wondered exactly what May planned to accomplish by doing this as well, since Houndoom's flamethrower was more powerful, and it had the type advantage, so yeah, Blizzard obviously wouldn't do jack shit, but much to everyone's surprise, when the flamethrower and Blizzard collided, they were actually evenly matched. I still don't understand how the fuck this is possible. Maybe May was finally getting some bullshit type luck because of what had happened with Skitty being hit by Shadow Ball when it shouldn't have been. I don't fucking know. What's important, I guess, is that the Blizzard continues to fight the Flamethrower, fighting for fucking 30 seconds almost, as both trainers' bars dropped rapidly, meaning that they were losing points immensely. Both of them were. But neither attack let up. Joshua and May then encouraged both their Pokemon to do their best at the exact same time, and hearing this, Erica believed that both May and Joshua were in sync, and therefore they were the perfect couple, and she got pissed off that May was potentially trying to steal her boyfriend. But then she heard May and Joshua taunt each other about who was going to win, making Erica actually realize that May and Joshua didn't like each other more than just friends, and she was relieved by this. Though this also made her realize that she'd been jealous of and rude to May for really no reason. Anyways, back during the battle, the clock dwindled down to eventually only have 30 seconds left, leaving Houndoom and Skitty to maximize the power of their Flamethrower and Blizzard respectively. And by the time there was 1 second left, the attacks finally stopped colliding, and an explosion occurred, sending Houndoom flying back, shocking Ash, May, and Brock. But then Houndoom got back up. Since there was only 1 second left though, the time then ran out, and since Skitty had managed to stay in position without getting blown back, and Houndoom had obviously taken way more damage, and Joshua had actually lost more points, this meant that May was officially declared the winner by Vivian, and the audience applauded her, along with Ash, Brock, and Max. Brock then commented that despite Joshua's loss, he knew that both Joshua and May would have no regrets after this intense battle. Sure enough, Joshua, of course, was a little sad. Like, who wouldn't be a little sad with their loss, right? But at the end of the day, he knew that he and his Houndoom gave it their all, and that's all that really mattered to him. As for Erica, she was utterly shocked by Joshua's defeat, and had a bit of mixed feelings. For one, she was furious that her dream of winning the contest together with Joshua was shattered, but at the same time, she knew that wasn't really May's fault. She just wanted to win herself, and she was grateful to May for not wanting to take Joshua from her, so she decided not to take out her anger on May anymore. Yay! Anyways, Vivian then called out both finalists to come out onto the stage. May was already there, but Erica got called out as well. And as soon as Erica and May were on the battlefield, Vivian pulled up both of their portraits on the screen and told a few facts about both of the contenders based on their previous matches, in case anyone in the audience had, like, fallen asleep or some shit. The audience then cheered, as Erica and May were supposed to say some words to each other before the battle began, and they were anticipating what those epic words were going to be. Erica stated to May that she planned to give it her all, and May tried to interrupt with a confident comeback of her own, but just then, she heard Erica apologize. Even though she was going to give it her all, she admitted that she felt bad for what had happened earlier, and May listened, as Erica detailed that she knew that she had been selfish, and it took May's battle with Joshua to help her realize that May and Joshua were not more than friends, and Erica just got caught up in her jealousy. And she knew that she was selfish for, just thinking of her own dreams of wanting to be in the finals with Joshua, and not thinking of May's dreams of winning either. Erica also admits that May was a great coordinator, and she respected her for that, and hoped that the two of them could become friends. May was very happy, accepting Erica's apology, and agreed that they could become friends, as the two of them shook hands and wished each other good luck and promised a fair battle. This show of sportsmanship made the audience cheer in amazement, and Joshua, Brock, Ash, and Max all acknowledged that Erica did a very good thing, so that the battle could be fought fairly. Anyways, it was now time for the battle to begin, with Vivian officially declaring and setting the clock, starting it at 5 minutes. And May and Erica sent out Skitty and Jinx respectively, and Skitty started off by running towards Jinx with a tackle, although Erica had Jinx use Psychic to lift Skitty into the air, stopping the tackle. Next, Jinx follows up with a lovely kiss to put Skitty in a dreamlike state that made it all dazed and confused. Worrying Ash, Max, and Brock, and Jinx then took the opportunity, with Skitty being confused, to spin around and unleash a blizzard that knocked Skitty back. Jinx didn't let up though, continuing to use Blizzard, wanting to knock Skitty out, as May's bar dropped tremendously, meaning she was losing a lot of points, which Vivian commented on. After being thrown around by the multitude of blizzards, Skitty landed hard on the ground, but manages to get back up, so May ordered Skitty to use an assist, as Max, Brock, and Ash watched, hoping the luck of the assist would be good so May would get a decent attack, and Skitty ended up getting Beautyfly's string shot, which wrapped around Jinx, shocking everyone, as they certainly didn't expect string shot. Regardless, this string shot worked out well for May, as Erica lost a whole bunch of points, so May ordered another assist from Skitty, and it used a Razor Leaf from Bulbasaur this time, which actually ends up freeing Jinx, cutting the string shot, so the assist actually backfired this time. Obviously disappointing Max, Brock, and Ash. Anyways, now that Jinx was free, it used Psychic to lift Skitty up into the air, and now that Skitty was trapped in the air, Jinx followed up with a Blizzard to attempt to knock Skitty out. And everyone in the audience, including Vivian, definitely thought that the battle was about to end, as Skitty was taking a lot of damage, and Ash, Max, and Brock were stressed, knowing that May would likely go for an assist again, and it could backfire. Sure enough, May did go for an assist again, and this time the assist turned into another string shot. So basically, the assist was useless again, as the string shot just got absolutely disintegrated by the Blizzard. Skitty still tried to assist yet again though, and this time it got a Vine Whip from Bulbasaur, but Jinx just used Psychic to completely negate the Vine Whip by moving around the vines away from hitting Jinx. Ash knew that May was running out of time, and worried that assist wouldn't get her the victory that she needed, and Erika knew this as well, advising May to use an attack other than assist so that she could make the battle more interesting. Much to everyone's shock though, including Ash, Brock, Max, and Joshua, the latter of whom, who was in the waiting room, May refused to give up on assist, knowing that if she could just get the right combination, then she could do some damage. And luckily for her, when she used assist again, this time she got a Petal Dance from Bulbasaur that knocked Jinx back quite a bit, right as the clock hit 30 seconds left. Brock and Joshua spotted that May had less points than Erika, a lot less points, so May would have to think of a last-minute ace strategy very quick if she wanted to pull off the win. May knew that if she could just get the right combination of attacks with assist, she might have a chance, so she decided to not change her strategy at all, ordering assist again, and she got a Fire Spin from Combuskin, and had Skitty launch it right as Jinx launched a Hyper Beam. The attacks collide while Vivian announces with excitement, but eventually the collision ends with the Fire Spin breaking through the Hyper Beam and burning Jinx, dealing massive damage and making Vivian very excited as she announced this. Skitty then immediately follows up with a tackle on the burned Jinx, blowing Jinx backward and knocking it out. That's right, Jinx was knocked out, so Vivian officially declared May the winner of the Pacific contest. And May and Skitty's picture appeared on the screen on the battlefield, solidifying their win, as May thanks Skitty as it leaps into her arms and she hugs it, and the audience applauds greatly. Brock, Max, and Ash were very happy for May, and Brock remarked that May really showed how great of a coordinator she was today, explaining her strategy. She used Skitty's assist to turn it into Fire Spin, and while this was what made her win, really, all of the failures, such as the assist turning into Razor Leaf and Vine Whip and String Shot and all that, were just as important, because when the audience saw all the failures, it made them more excited to see a potential good move come out of assist, and that played in May's favor, as it made the audience and the judges more interested in May's performance. All of the other coordinators, as well as Brock, Ash, and Max, come down to the stadium to congratulate May, as Raul Contesta, one of the judges, presents May the purple Pacific ribbon, her fifth and final ribbon necessary, which made May, Max, Ash, and Brock extremely excited, as Max reminded May that now, with 5 contest ribbons, she can now qualify for the Grand Festival. And Raul Contesta then also presented Skitty with a mini purple ribbon, which it could wear around its neck. May then does a victory pose with her final ribbon before holding it close to her chest, declaring that she would not only enter the Grand Festival, but she would win the Grand Festival and become top coordinator in all of Hoenn. With that, Ash and gang, as well as Erika and Joshua, met up outside of the contest hall to say their goodbyes to each other. Erika apologized for how rude she was to May again, admitting that now she understood that Joshua just wanted a rival, so that's why he wanted them to train separately, because if Joshua and Erika were going to be winning together, then that meant that they couldn't really be rivals, they'd be allies, if that made sense. Like, he wanted to train with someone different, you know? And Joshua and Erika then congratulate May on her victory, and they wish May luck in the Grand Festival. Joshua then admits that he could have been more clear with why he wanted to train separately, and Joshua and Erika promised to become both partners in a relationship and rivals at the same time, as Joshua had now realized that you could do the same. You didn't have to be one or the other, at least for the most part. Basically, Joshua did feel the need for a rival that wasn't his partner, but it was only for when they were going to face each other. Other than that, they could definitely still function as both rivals and partners, and with that, Erika stated that she and Joshua were going to continue traveling together to try and win contests together and split ribbons. May wished Erika and Joshua luck with this, still not believing that that was possible. And Ash then changed the subject a little bit, as he promised to train for the upcoming Hoenn League as well, since that's where Ash and the gang would be heading after May participated in the Grand Festival. Ash and the gang then said goodbye to Erika and Joshua, and they continued on their journey.